Occupation is a fixed-time investigative thriller. All of what you're about to see is in-game footage. The location is Turing City. The year is 1987. A bomb has been detonated, 23 people are dead, and as a response, the Union Act will restrict people's freedoms and grant power to the people who created it. Welcome to the Bowman-Carson facility. We have an interview with Carla Berman, the head of PR for the company at the heart of this controversy. We play as Harvey Miller, an investigative journalist. We're about to confront Carla with the evidence that she's been printing misleading figures about the Union Act.
So I gather you've got some questions you'd like to ask me?
We're asking the question, does your propaganda knowingly obscure the Union Act figures?
If by propaganda you mean the important work I do here, then I'd ask you to be a little bit more respectful of the current political climate, Mr. Miller. We are very thorough with our work here, so I'm sure whatever you think you found will be easily cleared.
It looks like we've offended Carla with what we've uncovered. Let's see how we ended up here. We've just received a page from our editor. She wants to talk to us from a public payphone. Every action in the occupation takes time, and an hour in the real world is an hour in-game.
Harvey, it seems as though Alex Dubois may have hidden some information in there which proves the Bowman-Carson Group are intentionally inflating figures based around the Union Act. I'm sure Carla Berman may have a thing or two to say about those figures, since she's the one spreading them in her print media. Anyway, let me know what you find.
Well, you can come over and take a look if you don't trust me. Yeah, all right then. No,
It's important to be quiet in an out-of-bounds area if you don't want to be spotted doing something you shouldn't. The characters of the occupation are perceptive and won't go easy on a trespasser.
We think it might be on a floppy disk, but we're not sure. You know, Alex, it could be anywhere. Well, for now, we're looking for a floppy disk. I'll let you know if that changes.
It looks as if Alex Dubois, the man accused of setting off the explosion, has lost a floppy disk with sensitive data on it. We need to find and print any evidence we uncover. Exploration is key to finding valuable information for your meetings, and a good journalist leaves no stone unturned.
No floppy disks detected.
The note we just found says that a staff member may have lost a floppy disk with sensitive information on it in Carla's office, and that scaffolding outside Alex Dubois' office might be a good way to sneak in. We need to find and access the scaffolding. It's important to know that there are many ways that we could have gained access to this office. We could have spied on Carla while she was typing in her passcode.
Please enter PIN.
We could have snuck in through a service vent. Or we could have pulled a fuse to disengage the lock to her office. But for this example, we'll use the window that we've just learnt about. We're looking for a floppy disk, but this doesn't look like the right one. Perhaps he dropped it on the floor the last time he was here. There it is. For those of you with good memories, don't expect to find the disc here in the final game. Let's check the contents of the disc before we leave. This is definitely the right disc. We need to print it out before our meeting.
What the hell?
Floppy disk detected. Attention. Floppy disk corrupted. Use data doctor to amend.
We should have been more careful. Now we'll have to restore the data before we can print it out. And with security watching us, we'll have to be extra careful not to be seen. We might need this token to print out the document. Let's take a look around the office while the disk is rebuilding. This alarm could have been easily avoided if we'd paid attention to our surroundings.
Who set this alarm off?
The disk is finished. Time to get out of here before security spots us.
Just going to the bathroom. Listen, Mr. Miller, I know this probably has nothing to do with you, but there was an alarm that went off earlier on, so if you could just make sure to stay in the allocated areas, that would be great.
We got off lightly that time. The characters around the world might not have seen us do it, but they know that someone has been snooping around, and they'll focus more on our actions as a result. We've got the printout just in time for our meeting. They suggest that Carla Berman was lying about the figures she was printing.
Hello, Mr. Miller. Please come in and take a seat.
This was just one of the leads we could have followed to ask a great question in our meeting, and there were many ways we could have achieved our goal. Find out how you'll do it when our game is released very soon. From everybody at White Paper Games, thank you for your time, and be sure to check out the occupation. Hello, and welcome to The Occupation. This is the latest game from our studio, White Paper Games, based in Manchester, UK. Some of you may have seen our announced trailer a few months ago, and we wanted to create a short video to build upon the story and give you a little more information about the kind of game you can expect. All of the footage you're about to see here is from an alpha build of our game. The Occupation is played over a fixed time period of 4 hours, which means that the decisions you make have a lasting impact. 1 minute of your time is 1 minute in the game world, so creating a plan and adjusting to events as they occur is crucial to your success. You play as an investigative journalist in 1987, reporting on an explosion that killed 23 people. Investigations have come to a halt, and it's your job to collect information and decide what happened here and the events leading up to the incident. Combining the various mechanics and systems you have at your disposal, you will uncover multiple approaches to any given situation.
You're out of line here, Mr. Miller. Get out of here, right now.
Right, I've heard some alarming news. Steve tells me you've been found in a staff-only area. I cannot stress enough, Mr. Miller. I'm sorry, am I keeping you from something? No? Right then. Get out of my sight. I don't have time for insubordination.
We've intentionally designed The Occupation to be a fixed-length gameplay experience, which you're able to finish in a couple of sittings. We've packed a lot of story and gameplay content into the game, so that everyone can see and experience different playthroughs, much like you would find in classic immersive sim games, such as Thief or Dishonored. It's up to you to figure out these routines and schedules, and use them to your advantage, by either overhearing conversations with other people, or by taking the opportunity to read through their personal items while they're preoccupied.
Have you got any plans tonight, Molly?
Me? No, I don't really have my weekends anymore, not like they were. I think I'll do a spot of fishing on my way home.
It's the middle of October.
As with our previous game, Ether 1, a strong narrative arc is at the core of the experience. Ether 1 explored the impact of the terrible illness of dementia, and thanks to the reception it received from the community, it's allowed us to develop more experiences and create our next game, which we're incredibly fortunate to be able to do. We can't stress enough how thankful we are for the opportunity to be able to create these games on a daily basis. With this game, we focused on issues equally as important to us as a team: more contemporary political concerns, immigration and government surveillance. Much like our previous game, The Occupation is developed using Unreal Engine technology. This gives us the tools and ability to push the scope far greater than anything we've done before as a small team of developers. We self-funded the project up until a few months ago with our own money, but we knew we needed to do more to be able to push the game out to people. Our game wouldn't have had the chance to grow through the conception stages without the help of the UK Games Fund, as well as our newly formed partnership with the team at Humble. Without these companies, small game development teams like ours wouldn't exist. You can think of the world of The Occupation as fully explorable to you from the start. The buildings you can see here are all inspired by architecture that we see on a daily basis in Manchester. Having an open, non-linear environment to explore allows you to carve your path through each of the environments and prioritize the objectives that you think are most important. Now that you've learned some more about the game, let's try and tackle a short scenario, without getting caught this time. We're currently around halfway into the game. We've broken into a high-risk area, and we need to gain access to room 230 to use the disc we previously acquired.
What the hell? Come out if you're in here.
Hey, you got no business being in here.
We're coming to the end of our short gameplay video now, so thank you for taking the time to check out the occupation. What we've shown you is just a small segment of this dense, system-driven world with lots of tactile interaction, and we're excited to show you more soon. If you'd like to stay up to date with the studio, you can follow us on any of the normal social channels you normally use. For those curious about a release date, well, you don't have to wait any longer. We're excited to announce that the occupation will be released